Senior Advocate of Nigeria, FM&TV, says the judgment of the appellate court sacking 3 governors in 1 week shows that the Independent National Electoral Commission failed in its duty to conduct proper elections in the country. Falana, who spoke yesterday, Sunday, the 19th of November 2023, on a television station program, said the vote of Nigerians should not be nullified by the courts because of the supposed negligence of the electoral umpire that should not have cleared candidate put forward by parties without primaries conducted, and also thousands of votes should not be invalidated by the court because of INEC officials' failure to stamp ballot sheets, and also, according to the senior lawyer, election matters should be concluded before the inauguration of any administration. Falana was reacting to the appellate court sacking of 3 governors in the last 1 week that INEC declared as winners in the March 2023 polls. All the 3 governors sacked by the appellate courts are in the opposition parties. The court sacked Yusuf Abba of the New Nigerian People's Party and declared his APC counterpart, Nasiru Gawuna, as the winner of the polls. In Zamfara, the appellate court sacked Governor Daud Lawan of the People's Democratic Party, where it declared polls inconclusive about 8 months after the elections. In also Plateau State yesterday, the court sacked PDP's Mafwang and ordered INEC to issue a certificate of return to the APC candidate Gushwe. Speaking on the judgment of the appellate court, Falana said INEC failed to perform due diligence before and during the election, thus re-echoing the voices of many Nigerians who feel dissatisfied of the way things are going as it concerns victories at the court rather at the ballots, and wonder when all of these will end. But the big question and the big story for today is, after over 400 billion used by the electoral umpire to conduct the 2023 elections, and now having governors to lose their jobs on account of court judgments, who should be held accountable for the failures of the electoral body? And when will all of these end? Well, you look at these and more as it concerns the recent call for the reform of the electoral process is what this edition of The Big Story is all about. And we're talking about court versus the electoral umpire calls for electoral reforms. And that's what we're having as a major discourse today on The Big Story. We're talking about court versus the electoral umpire, the recent calls for electoral reforms. And to help us truly talk about this, we have no other person. Like we said in our introduction, we needed someone that is a legal practitioner and also a politician to help us do this. We're talking of no other person but Barrister Casey Omerabo, helping out with the discussion. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, man. Good morning.
Now, in the last 1 week, we've had about 3 governors sacked on account of pre-election issues. The other one on INEC not stamping ballot papers or ballot sheets, and the 10th one, an inconclusive elections, all on the ground of INEC's action or inaction. Now, bringing up once again the debate of should the courts, rather than the electoral umpire, be the decider of who governs us. But before we go into the issue, I want you to just, we want your reactions as it concerns these 3 recent judgments coming from the appellate court. And like I said, let's take it one after the other. The one in Kano, the one in Zamfara, and finally the one that happened yesterday, that we're now getting information, first-hand information in the studio, that there seems to be protests in Plateau State on account of the governor being removed. Let's get your decisions on all of them.
Thank you. A court is called the court of justice because that is the only way you recourse to when injustice abound everywhere. Whether you have confidence or the people have confidence in court is another thing. I belong to the school of thought that believe that an election conducted with over 200 million Nigerians and with about 8 or 10 million voters, by the time you lock up 3 gentlemen in a room to decide who is the final winner, I don't think that's how it should be. We must not follow willy-nilly what is done in other climes. We can invent our own because the pedestal is not the same. You look, for example, why the law creating INEC does not empower INEC to disqualify anybody.
Okay.
That is first of all where the problem is. The political party who choose who they will present to INEC, INEC have no reason to disqualify.
Justification.
Yes. So INEC should have first of all been given the power to be able to do their pre-qualification and disqualification and qualification of whoever will put forward for an election. For example, in this place, if you have Ratawu here, when you have an electoral body, you'll be able to say, this person, your paper qualification is not enough. 2, you haven't got the experience. 3, the position you are going to is an aberration. Here we have in Nigeria where a tailor will win position of a legal advisor. You can imagine how we are. It's not cheating.
Okay, now, looking at the judgment, because I'll still bring you back as much as you've made a more elaborate feeling about
yes,
the
I'm laying foundation.
Okay, because I want us to look at the three judgments. I'm
trying to tell you about
three different scenarios.
Yeah, the judgment is not what you look at, it's what led to the judgment.
Okay, you're trying to read.
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
By the time we are doing pre-election matters, many people, even when they know the man is qualified, will say, the name was not well spelled. Oh, the second, the birthday and declaration. All these are not what qualifies a man to have leadership qualities. Whether this birthday was in October, in December, it is not tally with the one in NYC educate. Those are just political gangsterism. Now, when you bring before the court that this man did not win the election, it presupposes that the court is supposed to investigate your allegation. For example, you say a man did not win an election, then the next man becomes the winner. No! That the man did not win does not mean the other person won. That's the truth. Let's look, for example, in case of Leon those days in Bayelsa State. Leon won an election quite well, and the court said he won an election. The court itself. But that his deputy said papers were not quite correct. Therefore, since the joint ticket for the two months go. And
we even saw that in Bayelsa State.
Just imagine that. So, a thing that didn't concern Leon, robbed him, but not only robbed him, you now gave the judgment to the next person who didn't win. Is that justice? We should have a way of looking for, like I keep saying, the last presidential election tribunal or court. I was hoping that it must not be left for the hand of judges. I know they are erudite gentlemen. I know they have credibility. But in an election tribunal, when you decide who rule the people, it must not be judges. You can pick 2 doctors, 2 clergymen, 2 imams, 2 youth, 2 cripple.
But are we not going to have them being partisans in their decision?
Who told you that these judges are not partisans? Okay, now, they are Nigerians. They don't go party with that.
Okay, now you raised up one major issue I want us to continue with, and that's, are the judgment fair? Because are they fair to Nigerians? Because what I asked, let's start with it this way, and I'd rather start with what Femi Falana said yesterday. Yes. And he said, should thousands of votes be invalidated by the court because INEC failed to do their job? And is it fair that you have hundreds of thousands of Nigerians come out to do their civic duty, sometimes in harsh and dangerous conditions, and yet, after all, 3 men or women will now be the ones to decide who governs them? Now, let's look at that. How really fair is that to Nigerians? Because you've seen these people come out in sometimes very harsh conditions. They'll stand on the queue for hours. They will do that in very harsh conditions where you see political thugs. We've seen Nigerians being maimed and killed on account of them doing their civic duties. And yet, after all the process, 3 men, just like he said and you said, will now finally take the decision and invalidate thousands of these votes.
You didn't allow me to lay the foundation, just to lay that. When people come out en masse to vote, with the mid-force of Nigeria police, soldier, civil defense in the streets, they are fighting, they go back home. Is that how it's supposed to be? That leads to election apathy. When the election apathy, the politicians have room to rig the election and win. So I keep asking, why are we policing our election days so much? For example, Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi were doing the election recently. We pack all the Nigerian police from Abuja and food the whole place.
92,000 of them.
What are we supposed to be doing? Who are we policing? Who are we arresting? Who are we killing? Who are we tying down? For election? You will be surprised that many people did not participate in that election. And therefore, is it fair that later you ask 3 men to sit there and decide when you know from the beginning you did not even allow them to decide their franchise? At Jome, for example, they did not even send a policeman. You think the election will not go on? Yeah, that's what I keep telling you. It's my argument. That when you did not send a policeman, there was no sense to the people will still come out and vote freely and they won't fight. They won't do anything. They'll go home and election, the result will count. But this one, you intimidate poor Nigerians, probably in a particular area, you know, a particular political party is popular. You will subjugate them that they should not come out. And then at the end of the day, you bring a result. That result certainly will be contestable. And when you go to court, the court did not go to the field and don't know what you are saying, you are saying is correct. They brought some ballot papers which they say were invalidated by INEC. INEC, somebody pressed something, you know it's in APC, but that the ink spin into PDP, you say it's invalid. You say we are very, very treacherous, our country. So by the time you're more invalid, if you have counted that result, you know the real winner. It starts from primaries. The primaries I've participated in this gubernatorial election. I'm going to face the primaries again in February. You see what happened? When your supporters, everybody must not be literate. If only literate people vote, then it's not the popular franchise. So if they say, they put the symbol of your party on ballot paper. In the primaries, they put your name. Most of these people can't really read. And when they vote, there are similar names now. For example, they do say that we have Monde Boegbe, we have Vite Boegbe, all contest for governorship. When they go there and they put their hand and the ink spill over, invalid. What if you have decided to be consensuous and bring them out? You discover that the man who won will win. But the man who didn't win, you will now bring out and then say this one won. Then the man will go to court. When they bring gathered paper disqualified, the court people will say, no, it's obvious it's APC now. It's obvious it's Labour now. So, and then we find ourselves that we are unable to elect our leaders. Each one we elect, the court will tell us no, we didn't elect them. Each one we did not elect, the court will say it's one we elect. We are still overuse of them as different in our mind. Where we had the election result, who took first, took second, took third. The man who took fourth was the one to say he won. What do we do? No, another.
So if we keep having this brings me back to the question because
I said we should find another tribunal that will not be judging.
Okay, now let's leave
this can be left for lawyers.
Okay, now let's leave the technicalities, but look at the umpire.
Yes.
Because if the umpire had it right, we will not be going through this round.
If the umpire is empowered to have his right.
Now, is it fair on account of the 2022 elections? As it stands now, we have about 82 governorship election petitions.
Yes.
Just filed on account of these past governorship elections.
Yes.
Not only that, senatorial elections will have 146 electoral petitions filed.
Yes.
For the senatorial. For House of Rep, we have almost 413 petitions. And for State House of Assembly, they are running into thousands.
Do you know what
that brings me to ask, just within a week, 3 governors have been sacked. Is this not an indictment on the electoral empire?
Exactly, you are not allowing me to explain. I was asking
we really do not have time.
If you don't have time, you will not educate, but you want to educate. If you don't have time,
no. Is this not an indictment on the part of the electoral umpire?
Listen, before you indict the electoral power, did you give the electoral power to really be an electoral power empire? Okay, now you said 400 for something petition is pending.
Yes.
Do you know why it's pending? Because they know now it's another election. After you have lost in the ballot, you go and gamble in the court. That is it. But if they know that the person who won, any way you take it to, like Sheriff down to Sprinkle will still win, you won't waste your time in the court. I'm going to court maybe if I try and win again, even if I lost at Asaba, let me go to appeal court in Abuja. Let me go to Supreme Court. Who knows? I may be like.
So are you saying the electoral umpire is not given the free ground to do it?
The law gags them, number one. Number two, they are manned by your core Nigerians who are appointed by the politicians to aid them. But on
constitutional ground and on constitution which we run, it is being run by the Electoral Act 2022, the Nigerian Constitution, and also, is that not enough for the electoral umpire to give us a credible poll, rather than having all of these cases in court and we are having judgment that seems to be contrary to what
I'm not making a mistake. I'm not siding them. I know they have their flaws.
Okay.
But I'm saying that the flaw is deliberately put there to let them trip. As we are coming here today, yes, the electoral umpire is supposed to do their job.
Okay.
But I'm saying there's so many pitfalls
in the constitution that gives them a reason to
always fail. For example, if you say we are putting people in an election this year, the electoral umpires will be able to say this man is not qualified. He's standing trial in court. This man is facing EFCC. We know that you are not yet a convict, but please hold on until your verification completes. But you see that people who lose the election last year for contesting. A person who was governor once must continue. A person who failed the House of Assembly want to be House of Rep. These are the people who are having one or two things to answer before the criminal agencies. And yet, the people are handicapped. They cannot even say it. Okay. Who do you think of the election in this country? It's not great. They are not good men. When good men come forward, they are choked out. The people that collect this country are those who have stolen money, those who have been run to second country, those who have problems. Okay, and then you are asking the poor.
We'll come to the credibility of the people that are really coming out for elections, but I'll plead with you to hold on. We need to go on a break now and get pay some of our commercials, and then when we come back, we'll really look at this issue because it seems to linger. And it's already raising a whole lot of dust, especially as it concerns the court making the decision rather than the ballot boxes. Should that be the process? Should we continue in this route or route? Should we always end up having the courts make that decision when hundreds of thousands or even millions of Nigerians go out there to cast their or perform their civic responsibility? All of that is what's raising the questions, especially as we've had 3 governors within 4 days be removed on account of actions on inactions of the electoral umpire. Let's go on a break.